Shalom everyone. I want to quickly talk about this case. It is about a 15-year-old girl from Denmark. You can see her here. She's a pretty young lady, but unfortunately, she murdered her own mother. She had a 29-year-old boyfriend who was a Muslim, and also they found out later an extremist and a jihadist. And this 15-year-old girl, she was so into this man that she adapted his religious beliefs and also his extremist beliefs. She even, let me say, she even became so interested in ISIS that she began to watch many beheadings of ISIS. And her mother, because her mother had three children, a twin, of which she's one, a twin daughter, and a younger son. Okay, and she's one of the twin, and she was at the moment married to another man, which was their stepfather. You see? So her real father was not in the picture. And basically, she killed her mother after her mother began to tell her to break the relationship with that man. Now, it's a common story that sometimes young teenage girls fall in love, or I won't say fall in love, they get emotionally attached to older men. And there are multiple reasons for this. I'm not going into all of them now, but they get attached to older men, and they exalt that man. They become attached to some kind of a god figure, and everything that man stands for or wants, they do. You see, and often it goes to the extremes. They begin to steal. They begin to do drugs. Even go into prostitution just to please that man. You see. And don't get me wrong, guys, often when such things happen, you see, when lover boys do, often lover boys put spells on certain young women. It also happens to women that are in their 20s or 30s, so it's not just limited to teenagers, okay? Sometimes lover boys go to witch doctors, or they are the witch doctor themselves, and they put spells on young women to get women attached to them. But you see, you cannot blame everything onto shadow witchcraft, you see. I don't know all the details of this case, okay? I don't. I'm going to admit it plainly here. I did pray about the case, you see, and I first of all want to tell you guys, pray for this young girl and also for the 29-year-old boyfriends. They're both incarcerated and convicted to jail. And also pray for the surviving relatives, the other two children of the woman, and also her husband, also other family members, and also the neighborhood where she lived. Pray for those people. But I want to point out something to you guys here. You cannot expect that your enemies will come from the outside. Okay, you will have strangers that will dislike you, that will choose to be against you. But they will often do this as a form of distraction. See, what better distraction do you have than, blaming a stranger or someone that's different than you? What I want to make clear to you guys is that you need to pay attention to the environment the Lord has placed you in. You see, because let's be real about this, guys. This is a 15-year-old girl, okay? She had her whole life in front of her. She's quite beautiful. She's quite beautiful, and she's not even. Her body is not even full grown yet, so she could have go to college, get degrees. She could have boyfriends, or even get married, have children. She had a lot of possibilities in front of her. Why would she choose to become emotionally attached to an older man and to even make a blood sacrifice for him and his religion? Because that's what really happened. You see? Look, this is related to Islam, you see? But such things happen, they have happened more frequently. You see, What if it was a 29-year-old Danish white boyfriend that was into an Osiris cult or some Freemason cults, and they or some Wiccan cults, and they demanded some human sacrifice to please the spirits? Well, if that would have happened, then they wouldn't have made headlines like this. You see, what I'm trying to say to you guys, such things like this happen more often. Okay, that's first. What I'd say is pay attention to your environment is that this case, what happened there, it could have been prevented. You see, first of all, let's keep in mind she's a young woman. Yes, that's not an excuse, but she's a young woman. She's in her teenage years, she's in her emotional development, and she became attached to that older man and to his extreme views. Now, understand this clearly, guys. Any teenager that sees beheadings, real beheadings, they become frightened. Okay, because those are human beings being killed. You see, the fact that she watched those videos over and over again, and she became so confident to kill her own mother, someone from this close to her, it shows that she had a lot of unprocessed issues. Because you need to understand this, guys. Anger can, you see, anger happens when you encounter danger. That's when anger arises. You see, to is a warning signal. There's danger to motivate you to get away from danger or to do something about it. But when anger lingers around, it's not an impulse to warn. It's not a warning impulse anymore. When anger lingers around, it will turn into rage. It will turn into bitterness, and it will turn into all kinds of ugly things. And this case here is a result of anger lingering around. Now you have to ask yourself, what made this girl become so filled with anger that anger developed into other things? Well, she got attached to an older man. Now, don't tell me that there were no other handsome Danish older men around, or boys or guys of her own age. Don't tell me that. You see, a girl like her, when she goes to social media, she will get a lot of attention, a lot of attention. Or if she would just put on a mini skirt or put on some makeup and she walks through town, man, she will get attention. Why did she get attached to that older man? Listen, when someone has anger in them and anger remains, that anger is like a magnet for negative energy. That anger that's inside, what I'm saying, become bitterness and rage, it will attract demon spirits. And when it attracts demon spirits, it will also attract other people who are either possessed or under the influence of demon spirits. You see? Because this you need to understand. When you hold on to anger, guys, you are basically giving evil spirits control and influence and dominion over your life. You see? And so, what could have happened, guys, if there were more believers preying upon this family, if there were more believers interrupting their so called private lives, then possibly this case would have never happened. Okay? But you see, guys, many people lack spiritual understanding. You see, many people don't understand that when you hold on to anger, it also has spiritual consequences that will lead to physical manifestations. Many people don't have spiritual understanding, and because they are in ignorance, you see, because they're in ignorance, demons are exploiting their ignorance. And of course, I'm not saying the girl is a victim here, okay? Okay, it can be that she is a victim, but evidently she's now a perpetrator, okay? I'm not going to deny that. However, if there was more spiritual understanding, then possibly, I believe 99% chance that this would have never happened. You see? And don't underestimate traumas, guys. When someone goes through a trauma and is not processed, I'm telling you, that trauma will also turn into rage. Because anger is not just emotion that you're upset with something. Anger is a feeling of a danger. And this feeling of danger we often experience as being upset. You see, but you can also be upset and not angry with someone. For example, someone was driving without their seatbelt. You become upset, but not because you're angry with them, because you become upset because you realize they could have hurt themselves. You understand? But when you understand when someone has a trauma, especially in their childhood or in their teenage years, and the trauma is not processed, you see, that trauma will be turned into rage, and the rage will attract danger to that individual, and everyone that's around that individual will also experience the danger that the trauma that the rage is attracting. You see, that's why, guys, you need to pay attention to the environment you're in. You see, because listen to me, fellow believers. Some of you are in places you don't want to be. Some of you are in a city you want to leave because you see the city is boring, there's nothing for you to do, and some of you want to leave a certain work. You want to leave the workplace, find another job because people are acting cold towards you. A lot of many of us believers are in places we don't want to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. But maybe, I'm just saying, maybe the Lord wants you to remain in that place because you in that place is because you being in that place prevents and restricts demonic activity. Maybe you being in that place, you know, let us understand this. When you are following Christ, you are a power. You're not looking for power, you are a power. You are a dominant influence. And and you see, Jesus said that when you are filled with the Spirit, the rivers of living water will flow out of you. You see, you cannot tame a river. You can build a dam, but the river will still flow. And a lake will be formed, but that lake can break the dam also. So you cannot tame a river, okay? You can only channel it. But you have rivers of living water flowing out of you. And the rivers have force when they are streaming. So spiritually, Jesus uses rivers as a metaphor to say that there is power, there's impact coming from you. And you don't have to be aware of it. Most of the time, as a believer, you're not aware of the impact you're having. You see, and it can be that you are the impact that prevents a lot of harm from taking place. And you see, there are times that demons, let me say, there are times that demons are aware of this. So what will demons do? Demons will keep informing you of the negative facts around you and the fact that you would be better off in another place. Yes, demons will do this. And you will think it's the Holy Spirit. But the thing is, demons are only telling you this so that you will leave because demons know the moment you leave that place or that environment, there's no resisting impact anymore against their activities. There's no resisting impact anymore against the rages of men and against bloodshed. So the moment you leave, things fall apart. You see? And guys, listen to this. There are unbelievers out there. Some of them are pagans, some of them are witches, or some of them are atheists, or at least they call themselves atheists, or they are into other religions. But there are unbelievers. They don't know, they don't have spiritual understanding, but they do realize that having you around has a positive and healing impact. So even if they don't like you, even if they hate you, even if they can't stand you, even if they don't agree with you, they want you around only because they realize there is some great impact coming from you. And most of the time we're not aware of it. Now, am I saying that if you are in a hostile environment that you have to remain? No. You have to follow the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Sometimes the Lord will put you in a hostile environment to minister unto others. And there are times that the Lord will give you a way out to leave an hostile environment. Anyway, if your environment is hostile, recognize it, but don't act on your own understanding. Go with it to the Lord. Okay? Because I see this happening. I see believers leaving certain places and everything falls apart. And the other way around too, there are times that things are falling apart, things are getting out of hand, and a believer just walks in, they get a job over there or they attend school over there, and things are restricted. They are, um, I'm not saying it's getting better, but there is some peace in that environment. You see, Jesus Christ said that we are the light of the world. You see, so it's not just a metaphor, he's telling the truth over there. So we need to pray and we need to have discernment, okay? And keep an eye on the people the Lord has entrusted unto you. But this case already happened. But there are more cases like this that never happened because believers were there, and even if the believers were not aware of what was going on, they kept doing what God called them to do. So this wanted to say with this video, guys. Pray for these people and shalom.